Hello, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Sun, Blooming in the Rot, our Invisible Sun AP. My name is Kian. You will see that I have my lovely cast joining me once again. But before we jump into that, a little bit of housekeeping before we jump into our introductions. Here at Entropy Emporium, we are raising money for the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, who's providing much needed aid on the ground in Gaza. We encourage everybody who can donate to do so, and we'll be posting the Tilify link in the chat. Alongside that, we'll also be linking to our Discord where you can join our community of TTRPG nerds who are exceptionally feral. It is always a great time to be in our general chat and just see who is hollering about their characters, about their games, all of the things. Um, Before we do our cast introductions, another thing I want to highlight about Invisible Sun is called downtime. This is a phase of the game that happens between sessions. It is an intentional mechanic in the game, and it represents the passage of time that Beasley may be using to study magic, to buy things, to talk to NPCs, a lot of different things. So this time, I want to hand it over to my cast to introduce themselves. Cast, if you can let us know who you are, who you're playing, your character sentence, and what your character generally got up in the week of time that has passed since the ending of the last episode. We'll start bottom left and we'll work our way around, which means that we will start with Nox.
Hi, it's Nox, and I look like Casper from the Ghost right now. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I play Bellamy. And what was the question?
Give me your character sentence and what you got up to during downtime.
Character sentence I totally have pulled up is Bellamy is a bizarre stoic apostate who eats knowledge. Um, and what she did during downtime is she's trying to figure out um, who that person that Stellan was talking to, but also made Alistair uncomfortable was. Yeah.
Thank you kindly. We'll pass it up to JT.
Hello, everyone. I'm JT. My pronouns are they, them. I'm playing Stellan Fast. They are a connected stoic of the Order of Weavers who strikes deals. And during downtime, they struck a deal.
I'm so sorry. I lost my mouse. My cursor is gone and I don't know how to get it back. But I need to get to the screens that I need to get to, so my mouse is going to have to figure it out. We will pass it over to my left, Ava.
Hello, my darlings and dears. It's your Madam Ava here. I use she, her pronouns, and I play Isra Nimat, who also uses she, her pronouns. She is an aromatic empath of the Goetic, of the Order of the Goetic, who plumbs the depths of sleep. And during downtime, she made some alliances to keep weird shit out of her house.
Very important work, absolutely. And of course, last but not least, I'll hand it over to JD.
Hey, I am JD. I use he, they pronouns, and in this game I play Alistair, who just goes by Alistair, and they are an itinerant empath apostate who hosts a legion, and they use they, them pronouns. During their downtime, they learned some things about friendship. That was a big thing. They got to experience a place they had never been to before, and in that place, with their friend who brought them there, they got a chance to talk to the Legion and try to get a clearer sense of what exactly the Legion wants.
And I'm sure that the Legion gave you a perfectly normal answer, right?
Absolutely. It was so clear. We have a plan. We've got SMART goals. Like, we're golden.
Wonderful. And of course, my name is Kian. I am the storyteller for this game, so I get to play everybody that my players do not. Um, I would love to go ahead and get started. So, really quick, a nice introduction, a casual introduction. It starts out, as most things do, in silence. A painful silence, piercing in how it is irrefutably true. In actuality, truth and lies and secrets and confessions are never what they seem. But the silence is true, or as true as we can trust it to be. Then there is hissing, slow and constant, the hissing of an inhale and exhale, the sound of a predator. A raspy breath in, an exhale out through ragged, cracked teeth and a smile too large for the face. They call him the Light Eater. He was a mortal, like you and I, forced to transcend when a halo was shoved into his skull. Not atop it, not selected like an angel in the religions of shadow. Rather, the razor edge of righteousness and purity sliced his head in half, taking the place of his eyes. He has seen nothing but darkness since. Funny how quickly a gift can become a curse. The light can never meet his eyes, and anytime it tries, it is consumed. He walks this wasteland, searching for light. Life. You. Begging to consume, not for hunger, but for desperation to see again. But each light he comes across is blinked out of existence, casting this ragged wasteland into dark. His existence begs the question, if a dead creature walks in darkness where no one can see it, is it really dead? Do not question my existence, he answers. Of him the question is begged. What do you consume, stealer of light, when all around you is darkness? Myself, of course, he answers. I would like to jump back to the ending of last session. We found ourselves in zeros. It was absolutely a phenomenal time, and nothing could have possibly gone wrong. Except that right at the very end, while Bellamy and Alistair were enjoying a dance and learning how to become friends and what friends means, all of the glass mirrors in zeros shattered. Before that, Isra, you had been standing and speaking with your dream-walking friend, and Stellan, you were over discussing deals and secrets and trading of information with Dagon of the Hindasa. As the glass shattered, Alistair, you noticed that behind Bellamy, the glass had taken the shape of what looked like, possibly, wings. Everything fell to the ground in this clinking, shimmering, very lovely sound for how intense the glass shattering was. Everything goes silent. Nobody in the entire bar knows what to do, because this bar is not just a building. This bar is a demon. It is a demon that has decided to turn itself into a building. And certainly, absolutely certainly, he wouldn't have done this intentionally. And then suddenly, it is like a hook is looped around your spine in the middle of it, and you are yanked forward, every single one of you. You find yourself on the pavement outside, on your hands and knees, stumbling into walls, running into each other. Every single patron that was inside the bar has been thrown out of it rather abruptly, shockingly. Everybody is gasping and they're shouting and they're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And you look back and you see the door that has the neon sign that says 0 above it sort of disappear into a swirl into the wall and completely vanish. Nobody has seen 0 since. 0 is an establishment that appears every single night, without fail, since the demon decided to take the shape of the bar, which arguably was before the war, could have been before Saturnine was even created, before Fartown became a pocket dimension. And now the demon is gone. And it's very unsettling. There's a sort of eeriness and a sort of tension that is completely across the entirety of Fartown. Even outside of Fartown, where there are fewer Visley, because Visley tend to live in the Fartown area, there is this unsettled, uncomfortable feeling in the stomach. Because if a demon as powerful and as large and as well established as 0 could simply disappear, what the hell is going on? Nobody knows. The week has fast forward. You all have had your downtime. You've had your chance to explore a little bit, do a little bit of research, perhaps trying to get to know some information about some people. And we find ourselves roundabouts a week later. Before we jump into this scene, I am going to let y'all know what Soothe deck card I drew. So for those of us who were not here last week, the way that Invisible Sun works is you draw from the Soothe deck. Every card that you draw sets the scene. Each brand new scene, you draw a brand new card. The card that we have drawn for this scene is the Doctor. Values 0, visions, swans, blades, water. Meanings: wisdom, health, dependence upon others, disease. Doctors help, but it's a help we'd rather not need. No one wants to see a doctor. We only see them if something's gone frighteningly wrong. They have knowledge, perhaps secret knowledge, and an insight few can match. But these are secrets about disease and death. Can one delve so deeply into such topics and not come out affected? The doctor is the nemesis of the Visions family. This enigmatic, genderless figure is a harbinger of illness and plague, but through them, the possibility of succor or even remedy from the disease they foretell. There is an inherent contradiction to the doctor, then. They are the hero that we do not really want. Everyone has a -1 to every single venture across the board for this scene, and empaths have a -2 to every single venture of theirs. So tread carefully, my friends. Nemesis cards are not friendly to anyone. We find ourselves in the week since trying to just understand what exactly has happened. I would like to start with Isra. Isra, you have not been dreaming lately, which is nothing new, except you also haven't been exploring dreams. Dreamwalking has been scarce the last few nights, which is weird. And you kind of guess perhaps this is a lasting effect of whatever the hell happened when you were at Zero's. Tonight, you are back to dreaming, and you are back to dreamwalking. You find yourself in that in-between space before dreamwalking begins, and this is your space, and it's cozy, and it's comfortable, and it feels like home. And every dreamwalking sequence starts here. Can you describe what this space looks like?
I think it looks similar to her actual bedroom, which has like a lot of drapery, flowing curtains, large plush pillows, some bedding. But it's vibrant in its color, but also hazy in its appearance. So she knows it's her room, but if someone was to just stumble in, they couldn't really purse out what it looks like. But there's one thing that is always changing and shifting in that room, and as that is whatever it is that her house is going to turn into the next day. And for today, she sees a small cat just trotting along from one end of the room and then disappearing. A very beautiful, tabby, black and brown, green eyes cat, and just filters away. And tomorrow, the news of her house, it's going to be a treehouse, a cat treehouse.
I adore that so much. That is so
Shout out to my
phenomenal.
partner for that suggestion.
I love that. You are sitting in this space and you expect to not be alone. That is a pretty common, just normal part of it. You have a dreamwalking guide, as most dreamwalkers do. And your dreamwalking guide has actually come to you twice now when you've been waking, which is good and bad, I would say. How is Isra feeling about that?
She doesn't really know how to feel quite yet. On one hand, she's been relatively happy to see Eliseo, no matter the circumstances. But the last time she saw them, and that twinge of seeing that jealousy, seeing that sadness kind of bothered her a bit. And not just because seeing Eliseo in the waking moments, but just in general. So I think she has concern.
Valid. It is a concerning thing when a dreamwalking guide who should only be in dreams shows up and is expressing emotion a little bit more than is typical. Speaking of cat tree houses, I see that Hazel has made an appearance. Very pointedly. We appreciate a cat who indicates their opinion about all things, but in face. Roll me a perception check. First roll of the evening. We'll call this a challenge rating of a 5, so just 1d10.
And And the subtraction is for these types of rolls as well, or when does that get applied?
So you will be rolling -1 automatically. As an empath, actually, as an empath, you will be rolling -2.
It sucks to be an empath. 1.
You feel more than see Eliseo. Typically, you're used to seeing this blue and golden figure who has a ring of moons that separates their head from their shoulders. Moons that are in different phases, and it seems that the more activated Eliseo is feeling, the quicker those moons will spin. You have the sensation of Eliseo being next to you, but glancing around, you don't see them. And you hear quietly, "I'm having a bit of a hard time, my darling, taking a physical form tonight. I hope you won't mind. I'll be with you, but it's a little bit more exhausting today."
Well, I suppose I have been spoiled with seeing you so often. I can accept this, but just know that I'm sad.
I'll do my best if it comes to the point that I'm able to present myself in a more sightly manner, then I will do so.
Oh, no pressure.
You glance to one side, and from the side that you hear Eliseo's voice, and for a brief moment, you think that you happen to see that brief flash that Stellan saw when Eliseo presented themselves. What looks like a very flat, stoic mask, deep blue, reflecting some sort of crystal, perhaps. So it's got sparkles throughout it. And then it disappears. You hear Eliseo just say, "Shall we?" And a door opens, and it's a very simple door. It's an archway that appears out of nowhere, but there's no filigree around it. It's just a simple wooden door. The door swings open. You are walking into the dark, but you know that there will be a dream on the other side. The last time that you dreamed, it was not simple, but it was a home that you had that dream of. This time you find yourself in a field of flowers, but each flower seems shockingly bright, almost painful to look at. There are people running around and laughing, perhaps some kind of a picnic scene, but they all seem to be moving a little bit disjointed. Their arms move faster than their body, so you can see the blur of their knees not quite taking shape because they take a step before the rest of their body can follow. And you are walking through this dream with Eliseo. Are you observing anything? Are you trying to determine any meaning of this dream? What are your goals here?
I think she wants to see if there is any meaning to it, especially this is the first dream in what seems to be a while.
Absolutely. Go ahead and roll me. This is not a typical roll, but given that you are dream walking, roll me a sorcery roll, and this time you'll roll 2d10. Indicate one of them as a magic die. If that die lands on a 0, let me know. And this one is more of a luck roll, so.
Okay. My regular die was a 9, so I guess -2 for 7, and then the magic die was 3, so I guess -1. So I guess that would be 1.
Perfect. No magical flux while you were in this space, thankfully. You don't see necessarily a purpose. This almost looks like a memory that somebody might be dreaming of. And they're getting some of the details wrong, as people often do whenever they're dreaming. So things are taking shape a little bit weirder than you would expect. But this just seems to be somebody perhaps enjoying some kind of a memory. Maybe this was a day in the park. Maybe this was a day with family, whatever the focus is. Overall, everything seems to be happy. I will say that you start to recognize a couple of the faces as being people from Fartown. And again, a little bit warped, a little bit different, but you would guess that this is perhaps a Visley who is having just a simple memory, kind of reminiscing on the past. As you are walking, Eliseo from one side of you says, I suspect that you have questions to ask me, my darling.
Me? Question? Yes, I do.
Please, what is it that's on your mind?
Do you... The being that was in my home felt familiar in a way, but I don't know why. Do you happen to know what it was?
Sometimes, when you're dream walking, you walk into dreams that are unsafe for one reason or another. And in one particular dream, you happened across something very similar to what you saw in your home, and I did not want it to bother you. So I took care of it and did what I could to make sure you didn't remember it. And obviously, that did not work as well as I intended.
Did I ask for you to remove the memory of it?
You didn't have time to.
Well, while I appreciate you trying to help me and keep me safe from that, preferably I would hope that you would ask before meddling with memories again. If it was my fault for the interaction, I feel like that's something I would like to keep on to learn too, just so I don't do it again.
You feel the ground shift in this dream. The side that you have been hearing Eliseo speaking from seems as if it's gotten heavier all of a sudden, and it starts to sink, and there's weight to it. And again, you catch a glimpse, and this time you're certain of it, that blank stoic mask, deep blue, some sort of a crystal in front of it. I let you take a lot of liberties, my darling, and that is because I care for you deeply. But please trust that if I think that there is something that you should not remember, I am doing it for good reason.
I, Is this coming from a place of a higher authority trying to put pressure on, or is it coming from a place of learned experience?
Roll me either perception or interaction. I'll let you pick. And just as a general reminder for the cast, you can spend a bene if you would like to lower the venture. I will say that this is probably a challenge rating of a 9, so already pretty high. For you, it will be technically +2 challenge, so in theory up at an 11 because you'll have that -2 after rolling. You've got hidden knowledge that you could possibly spend, and I will say because you have a very deep connection with Eliseo, that would automatically drop at 1. So you're sitting at a 10 challenge rating, which is not, it is impossible to roll that on a d10. So without spending any bene or hidden knowledge, that's where you're at.
I would like to spend a hidden knowledge and a bene.
Okay. What hidden knowledge do you think would be pertinent that would help you in this situation? This is just any justification that you can give me.
I think when she was in the shadow, she used to be a lot more, not to say that she wasn't like outgoing, but she was a lot more rowdy and much more chaotic in her approach to life. And so I feel like when she was in the shadow, there was always like that reminder of actions having consequences and her forcing herself to prove that, hey, I may be a very chaotic gremlin here, but I've survived so far, so give me some credit at the very least. This is a
Fair enough.
spite thing.
That will bring this challenge rating down to an 8.
So that was a 9, and I guess with the minuses, it's a 7.
So I had already accounted for the minuses, so you hit it.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Because we had raised it up to an 11 just to account for it to make it a little easier. This is absolutely coming from the sense of a higher authority that is trying to push their will upon you, but there is a genuine concern. There is a genuine borderline fear. You get the sense that Eliseo knows that you will not take kindly to that. Eliseo is aware that you do not want to, as gentle and as kind as you are very resolute in who you are, and Eliseo knows this, and so there is a concern that you will not agree, but it is as close to fear of that as Eliseo can get. A genuine concern for you, but absolutely in this moment, Eliseo thinks that they know best.
Making my waifu mad. But we will do it. Do you say this to try to push me away?
I would never.
There was a moment where it felt like you were telling me, even though there was an underlying thought of understanding that, well, don't be telling me to do things like that. That's quite rude. And you know that I don't like it. And it was kind of similar to that feeling that happened the last time we saw each other in the waking.
The ground continues to shift, and it gets heavier next to you, and then it gets heavier in front of you and to your other side. And you notice that the ground beneath you is not sinking. Wherever your feet are, it is staying steady. And then all of a sudden it snaps back into a flat surface, and Eliseo is gone. And you are left to walk the stream alone.
Waifu, I'm sorry. Waifu, no.
You are given no other clues, no other dream walking guides. You're welcome to stay in the stream as long as you would like. I will say, returning to your in-between space, it does take a while to wake up, but you are eventually able to wake up.
I think she'll try to pick some flowers to take back to her to her room. It's like, well, I'm in this field. Might as well bring some flowers home.
These flowers are naturally exceptionally bright, and so they kind of cast their own light off of them. So whenever you bring them back, it's almost like a little lamp made of this bouquet of flowers. There's automatically a vase that is sitting in the space so that it is ready for the flowers for you to place them. It is late evening still. Well, we'll say early hours of the morning, sort of that space between, you would guess, around 2:30, 3 a.m. The remainder of it is a quiet evening. And I would like to switch and take some time with Stellan, because it is about this time that you hear a knock on your front door. And before we move forward with that, I am going to draw a new card from the Soothe deck. Oh, y'all are giving me some great cards tonight.
Well, I don't like that.
Yeah, I absolutely hate that.
I don't know what you guys are afraid of.
It's never a good thing when the GM is happy. Like, no offense.
I don't know why you want to rob me of this joy, okay? I'm having a great time. The card that I have drawn is Misunderstood Beast. Value 0, notions, cats, clocks, wind. Meanings are mistakes, gentleness, friendship, danger, betrayal. The misunderstood beast is a gentle giant, not a murderous monster. It seeks our friendship, not our flesh. Can we see past its physical nature and ascertain its truth? Will we even try? Snap judgments can result in horrific mistakes. We judge something by its appearance or simply by the initial reaction it churns in our heart. But the real truth of a thing can rarely be ascertained so quickly. This misstep can catch us from either direction. We might judge something ugly as evil when it is not, or we might assume someone pleasant is a friend when they are not. Either way, we are harmed, or at least lessened as a result. Stellan, you hear this knock on your door. It is late evening when this comes to you. What do you do? Actually, early morning. Does Stellan sleep?
They do, but not for very long.
Okay. Um, are you asleep when this knock comes?
No. Almost certainly not.
Okay. Do you go and answer your door?
They whisper to the house to kick up a soft composition of The Lark Ascending, which is a violin piece from 1881 by English composer Ralph Vaughan. And they go to the door and they crack it open just a bit to look at who's outside.
It is Carter, standing on your porch.
They will open the door and step out and then close the door behind them.
Okay. Carter is standing there looking, as always, a bit put out. Does not seem quite pleased with being on your doorstep, but is there begrudgingly nonetheless. Nods to you. Mr. Faust?
Carter! What a pleasant surprise.
I don't know if you actually mean that.
Which part?
The pleasant part. Or perhaps the surprise. I don't think that you are quite so shocked as you let on that I am here right now.
Contrary to the way that things are, I am pleasantly surprised to see you. You are a familiar face in this brave new world that we're in.
I wonder why you didn't call on me yet. It's been a week since Zero's.
I had much to get in order during my time in return.
And you felt no need to ask why I knew Dagon?
I figured that with time, the suspicion that something bad was going to happen to you would eat you up and you would come tell me yourself. So, have we reached that point yet?
For anybody who wasn't here last week, Carter is referring to the Hindasa agent who Stellan seemed to have known, who Alistair seemed to have known, who Bellamy was very curious about, and who Carter knew by first name. Not necessarily something bad, but call me an idiot. I'm hoping that one day eventually you will let me out of this contract if I continue to prove to be useful.
If your goal is to be released from the contract, in what world is being an asset to me going to get you released?
At the very least, it's not going to get me killed.
I would never kill you. Good heavens.
As long as I'm
What would I
useful to
seem
you.
to think? No. Never kill you on purpose. A horrible tragic accident were to happen to you and you had violated the terms of our contract. I wouldn't feel inclined to help you, but I would never kill you.
As honest a response as I can expect, I suppose.
I will admit just out of propriety, there are times where I've considered perhaps your contract might need an end.
Carter looks shocked. Not hopeful, not excited. Just surprise courses through their entire being. You actually would end the contract.
Very specific set of circumstances would have to be met, but sure.
Well, what are the circumstances? What do I need to do?
If you have to ask for the circumstances, you aren't ready to hear them yet.
Oh, come on. It's been years.
Now-
Can
You did something wrong, and we need to address it. You knew Dagon. By first name, I might add. And you didn't think that pertinent enough to tell me?
You're not the only person who makes contracts.
No, I know. What contract did you make with them?
You think I'm allowed to talk about it?
You're right. A game afoot, indeed. What can you tell me?
When you left, they pointedly looks at you. They were curious about what you left behind.
And I assume that you, ever aware of the terms of our contract, did not disclose that information.
Certainly not, but they knew that you had left our contract behind, and so they thought it a good place to start.
And you, in your infinite wisdom, decided to sign another contract with them.
I didn't decide anything.
Was your life in danger?
What do you think?
I think I can't leave you alone for 5 seconds.
Well, you
I'm
were
happy
gone for
for you
years,
to prove me wrong.
and I
You don't seem
survived this entire
particularly
time
worse for
without you.
wear.
It's almost as though Carter is afraid to let you speak. Whether that is because Stellan is right, whether that's because Stellan is a threat, it does not seem to matter. Carter desperately does not want you to have a chance to talk.
It is not your place to decide whether or not you have the authority to sign with someone else.
I didn't decide.
When I rescued you from those loan sharks, did you ever find yourself in danger again up until my disappearance? Were you ever sure that I was going to kill you myself?
I don't need to be sure. The threat of it happening is danger enough.
But did I ever put you back out on the streets? Or did I not provide you a home? Did I not show you a way of life that is more than whatever petty gambling or nonsense got you in that position in the first place?
In your infinite kindness, yes.
Don't be sarcastic.
Then stop
It's
pretending
not
like you gave me
infinite
a
kindness.
gift.
I didn't give you a gift. Almost certainly not. You were indebted to me forever.
They're looking for something.
I know.
I don't know what it is. You saw the drawings. You saw my notes. Whatever it is, it's far. Exceptionally far from here.
So that spell you were working on, that was to find whatever I'm looking for?
whatever they're looking for, which I guess is now whatever you're looking for. So, yes.
Stellan will pull the notes out of their jacket. I assume my contract for life with you takes precedence over theirs.
I don't know enough about your deals or theirs to say which one takes precedence. I know that me telling you is putting my life in danger.
Okay. You will get this spell back once I figure out what they've done to you. You have royally fucked up. Go home.
Honestly, it's a compliment to know that I ruined your evening. And Carter will turn around.
Stellan's gonna let them have that one.
Does
I want to
Stellan
have
do
tea with
any...
Carter.
Say again, Ava?
I just want to have tea with Carter.
Does Stellan do anything else for the evening after Carter has left?
Oh, of course. They are going to walk. No, not walk. They're going to go back inside and they're going to pull out the spell notes.
What are you doing
And
with them?
they're going to try to finish it.
You are more than welcome to roll. I will say that right now this is an impossible roll for you to get. However, I do believe in failing forward. So you will get something, but it will... there's no way that you can get this knowledge right now.
If the most that Stella can glean is where they can find the information they need to finish the spell, that would be fine with me too.
Okay. For that, roll me perception. Well, okay, it depends. It depends on if you're physically looking at the notes or if you are trying to understand the magic. If it is looking at the notes, it will be perception. If it is trying to understand the magic, give me a sortilege roll for that one. We'll put this at a challenge rating of a 7. And you are... Oh, I forgot to say. I forgot to let you know what card effects are happening. Green magic is enhanced, pale magic is diminished, and ardents receive a +1.
Okay. None of those things apply to me right now, but we'll make this a perception roll. Just reading the notes and looking at the formulae.
Okay.
I do have a rank in magic identification, understanding or quantifying.
Okay. So this was going to be a challenge rating 8. That drops it down to a 7.
Okay. I will spend a single perception bene,
Drops it down to a 6.
and I'll go ahead and spend a hidden knowledge.
What would be your hidden knowledge for this?
Stellan is, for all accounts, not technically dangerous, but there is a reason that they seep that sort of danger. They know when and where to look for things that are actually dangerous. And if this thing is as dangerous as Carter's life needs to believe, then Stellan would almost certainly know where Carter would put that sort of thing.
Okay. Drops it down to a 5.
That's a 6.
Nice. You are reading through these notes. You're trying to understand one thing that you are aware of. Carter is not a Goetic. That is not the order that Carter has joined. But there seem to be references to summonings here. Goetics have a library that only other Goetics are allowed to access. And you would guess that this knowledge came from there. So there is a Goetic somehow, some way, working with Carter. You also recognize the handwriting on this on these spell sketches. Carter's handwriting and the handwriting of the Hindasa agent that was interrogating you through handwritten notes, refusing to speak.
Okay. Stone has a destination now.
Okay. Anything else that Stellan would like to do?
They're just gonna get up and go.
Okay. We come to the next day. I would like to check in with Alistair. Alistair, where are you? This would be about a week and 2 or 3 days, give or take, since the incident at Zero's. Are you connecting with anybody in particular? Where are you headed? What you doing? Oh, but before we do that, let me draw another card from the Suits deck. Ooh. How exciting. Card that I have drawn is the Conspirator. Value 7, Secrets, Ravens, Books, Flame. Meanings, upheaval, hidden agendas, gossip. The conspirator keeps to the shadows, whispering with others like her. How many conspirators are there? Who is involved? We never know. Those hushed whispers in the right or wrong ears can tear us all apart, bring us all crashing down. The conspirator is the defender of secrets. She guards them and the family they represent. It is her role to know the secrets and spread them as needed, whispering to just the right people at the right time. Gallants receive a +2 to all ventures. So what you doing, Alistair?
So I think this might be, though I'm not sure if Bellamy has noticed, that this is the first time Alistair has really been back. Like, they've been in and out more than usual, rather than just crashing on your couch constantly. So I think this is probably the morning after the first night that they returned to your place.
Bellamy, you wake up and you see Alistair still there, asleep or awake, but on the couch. Are you surprised?
Nope.
Is Bellamy actually waking up? That is my concerning question for her.
How many days has it been?
It's been a week and we'll say a week and 2 days since the incident at Zero's.
Okay, so question. Are we saying has Bellamy woken up since, like, this is her first time waking up since Zero's?
No, more just has Bellamy slept in the past 24 hours?
Forgot to, yeah, she slept 4 days ago. I rolled a d10.
It's not in the last 24 hours.
She slept 4 days ago. It's fine.
So Bellamy, you are not waking up. You are simply starting your day, your night. You're not really sure because time is really starting to blur together. But the sun is bright and outside, and so you assume that this is perhaps daytime for everybody else. And you walk into your sort of living space, into your living room, and Alistair is there on the couch.
Oh, hey!
Alistair looks like they're asleep, but when you speak, they roll over to look at you and kind of look a little rueful and are like, sorry I didn't say anything when we got in last night.
Oh no, it's fine. You know, it was a lot's happened. You know. Do you want something to? Candace can make something to drink, or I can also make something. I shouldn't ask Candace to do everything. I can make something to drink and eat. Did you eat?
Have you?
I asked first.
We think we should both eat.
Okay, I'll make both of us something to eat. That sounds good. What do you want to eat?
Well, it's morning.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good to know. Okay.
There's light outside.
Oh, that's from outside. I was wondering why Keen just left the big light on. The big light is the sun.
That big light is the sun.
I've been asking it to turn off the big light for. Well, how long has the sun been on? Out.
Bellamy, when did you last sleep?
That's a wonderful question. I would love to have an answer for it. However, I don't. So.
So pancakes?
Pancakes! I love pancakes. Okay, we can make pancakes. Let's go make pancakes. She's just gonna.
I'm so sorry, y'all. There was a weird ass noise in my apartment that I had to go inspect.
That's fair.
Alistair, have you told Bellamy about the wings?
They told Bellamy about seeing the wings the night that it happened. So that was something that they would have asked her about, and just asked, how long have you had wings?
Never, to my knowledge.
Well, that's strange, because when the glass shattered, we saw wings behind you.
Like out of me, or just like when you remember back in Shadow, like on that app where like it was like that like trendy thing where they would have like graffiti on the like art on the wall, and like it would be wings and you would stand in front of it. It's like, and then it's like, oh, I have wings because was it like I lined up just perfectly, or were they coming out of me and I just didn't notice?
We're not sure.
Did you notice the wings before?
No.
So holy shit! Sorry. Hazel is in the window above me. I did not notice. Sorry. So okay, I didn't notice wings there.
Well, you wouldn't, because they were behind you.
Right, but at some point I was looking forward at the place that I was. I turned around at some point. We walked, and then I turned. That is how dancing works, right? I know I wasn't good at it, but like there was movement. I would have seen that spot at some point.
Oh, we do not think that they were just on the wall or something and that you lined up with them. We're just not sure if they are yours or not.
Okay. So we should look. I should. Well, if you want, that should be looked into. Definitely by me. Oh.
Hazel's
So
trying to
much is
kill you on
happening there
stream.
tonight.
You joke she almost knocked down the monitor. Can you not?
She is trying to kill you on stream.
Babe, can you get the cat? Okay, so that should be investigated. You're welcome to join the vibes. You don't have to though.
We can help.
Yay!
We have some things we want to look into as well, but we can help.
So we should go to mentors.
That's a good idea.
Awesome! Okay, I love when I have those. Okay. Yeah. But first pancakes. We never got ice cream. First pancakes, then ice cream, then research? The winks happened a while ago. If I was gonna like die or something, it would have happened by now. So I feel like we have time.
Why would you die?
I don't. People die randomly all the time. No good reason.
From wings?
I'm existing. Wrong place, wrong time.
That is something to think about.
Yeah. But that's life, or the end of it. So, anyways, pancakes.
Pancakes, ice cream, existential dread. Mentors.
Great. It's just start making pancakes.
That's gonna be the next episode title. That was so good. Pancakes, ice cream, existential dread. Just a casual Saturday. Alistair, you are taking note now that the Legion is surprisingly quiet. How does Alistair feel about that?
Has this quiet been since returning to Bellamy's / this morning, or has this quiet been since we had our conversation?
Certainly have not been as chatty since that conversation, but this particular quiet has been since your conversation with Bellamy started.
Alistair doesn't like that, so I think while Bellamy is making breakfast, they're just gonna wander outside and see if they can pick up on more of the vibes.
Okay. Are you saying anything, or are you just kind of taking a moment?
They start by just taking a moment once they've stepped out front and maybe walked a little bit down the street, and then they would just ask, "So, what's up?"
Xtar comes first very quickly. Oh, are you talking to us now? Are you curious about what we're thinking, what we're doing? Well, we're not doing anything exciting, I can tell you that. We're sitting here with you.
You don't seem happy about that.
Exciting was not the most honest term that I could have used. And Xstar is not one to mince words, so the pause, the thinking about what he's going to say is strange. We are dealing with something.
Okay. Just gonna point out, because I think you all forget this, that the we includes me too.
Roll me a perception. We'll call this a challenge rating 6.
Would seeing through deception count?
Absolutely. Drops it to a 5.
All right. That is an 8.
Wonderful. You notice something that you had not caught on to before. It's quiet, in part because something feels empty. Something feels missing. Xstar almost feels too big in the space that he is taking up.
Xtar, what's changed?
suppose you'll find out at some point or another. Latris is dead.
What?
We don't know how it happened. Simply that it has.
What do you mean dead?
I mean that they are no longer part of the Legion.
When did this happen?
Sometime in the evening, in the last week. Sometimes Latris goes quiet and missing, and we don't worry about it, but today we found their body, or the closest thing to their body that we have in these spaces.
How long had they been gone?
At least 4 days. You spoke with them last time. That was the last day that we saw them.
If they died, then another one of the Legion must have killed them, right?
Unless it was you. And there isn't quite suspicion, quite accusation, but there is an edge.
And Alistair is like walking up and down the street. Their expression has ranged from confusion to concern to horror to disbelief. And at this point, they just look shocked. You think I could have killed them?
No, I don't think that you're strong enough to do that, but I don't know how one of us died. The Legion doesn't betray each other. Demons of the Red don't betray each other like that. We're too busy betraying other Beasley. They're stupid enough to make contracts with us.
You know, I think this is one of the first times we've agreed on something, and that is that I'm not strong enough to do something like that. I wouldn't do something like that. I don't hurt people.
You don't hurt people. Is that really what you think?
I don't know, Xstar. Give me an example of a time that I did. Because I don't remember one.
Well, if you don't remember, that's your own problem. Tell me, Alistair, do you really think you've made it this far without hurting anybody? You, a Beasley.
I don't know. I don't think that I have something like that inside of me, but something I'm learning is that I don't know a whole lot about what is going on inside of me.
You're right, you don't. Which at least lends its credibility that I don't think, once again, that you killed Latris. You're right about something else, and that is that one of us must have done it.
What does that mean?
For now, nothing. We can handle this.
Well, thank you for telling me.
Don't go thanking me. I could have just delivered a very large problem into your hands.
It would have been a problem either way. The difference is, now I know that it's a problem.
X-Star goes to say something else and then stops short. And you feel the cold that is Duasis returning, or speaking up, or has been quiet this entire time. And I will say that about that time, Bellamy, you also realize that Alistair has walked out of your front door while you were making pancakes and is now pacing in the street. Do you do anything, or do you let Alistair have their time to pace?
Yeah, I think Bellamy's gonna go and do something. Like, just calmly, like, I feel like Kane just comes and, like, puts a reassuring pat on her hand and she walks out the front door. I don't think she'd, like, get in their face because she has a feeling it's Legion stuff, but it's just like, are y'all okay?
We are having a moment.
Okay. Would you like to have that moment somewhere safer, like inside? Or at least a backyard? Like, if you're caught up in your head, I don't want someone to take advantage of that. I like if y'all are like having a argument, disagreement, existential dread, as you said, like there's safer places to do that. The pancakes are almost ready. I don't know if the Legion have preferred toppings.
We will figure out the matter of toppings, but we will have this conversation in the backyard. That is a good idea.
Okay. Just want to make sure you're safe. Okay. Pancakes. Hope y'all are okay. Just awkwardly goes back inside, just going, okay.
Alistair, you move to Bellamy's backyard, which I imagine is a little bit cozy the way that the rest of the home is, Bellamy. Can you describe it for us?
Oh yeah, her backyard is essentially like a giant, like, it kind of feels like it shouldn't be, again, it shouldn't be as big as it is, but it feels like a giant, like, nature sanctuary. Like, she has clearly maintained, like, she does gardening and things like that, and like one of those like floral arches and stuff, but it also just expands and you see all sorts of animals, actually, like magical ones, but also ones from Shadow, and just it seems to go on endlessly.
You find yourself in this backyard of wonders, really. And as you are back to pacing, leaning back into conversations with the Legion, you hear Duasis in the middle of a conversation with X-Star. You catch phrases, keep things quiet, they don't need to know, give me time, all from Duasis, and X-Star just agreeing, of course, of course, of course. And then realizing that you are listening in once again, X-Star addresses you. Duasis is investigating, and the rest of us will sit quietly and wait while we try and figure out what happened.
And Alistair takes a moment and then just says, fine.
You feel surprise from X-Star. that is not what they expected from you. He is almost concerned. But you also feel a sense of pride from Duasis. I think that that is a very good place for us to end the first half of our episode. So we are going to go on intermission. Please hang out, everybody, but also go stretch, drink some beverages, pet pets, take meds, do all the things that you need to do. We will be back in about 5 to 10 minutes, so just sit tight and hang out. We'll see you in a few. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you, Knox, for the Dr. Pepper ad. Just out of curiosity, if you have Dr. Pepper with you, yeah, please hold it up. Several of us, nobody as many as Knox, but definitely plenty Dr. Pepper at this table tonight. Thank you, JD, for promoting water. Somebody absolutely has to. Um, where we left off, we were just wrapping up a conversation with the Legion. Um, Alistair and Bellamy, I want to give y'all time. Was there anything else that y'all wanted to do between pancakes and ice cream before we get to existential dread? Although we've kind of leapfrogged a little bit into that, but it's okay.
I do think that Alistair, just in an attempt to distract themselves, would have casually asked Bellamy how her research has been going, which they do not realize is as loaded a question as it is.
Oh, lovely GM. How is my research going?
Research into which topic?
I don't think Bellamy mentioned the research she was trying to do this week, so I'm going to say her overall research.
Okay. Not grand. It is hard to find information on what it is that you're looking for, in large part because it's so vague right now. You're still not quite sure what it is you're looking for. I think it's safe to say that the audience and the cast can guess that part of it was the wings, and it's just so vague that you're having a hard time. I think that is part of why Mentors feels like a good fit, because it is the largest library in all of Tatooine. It's a phenomenal place. I'm so excited that we're going to be exploring it a little bit. But yeah, I would say, nah, not super great, not super fruitful at this time.
Yeah, I'm getting nowhere. But that's kind of how it is with research sometimes. There's a couple things I'm hoping to find out, I guess, at Mentors, or at least just get a couple of leads. But then again, if I didn't have such a broad topic, maybe it would have been easier. So once I get like the basic where I'm going with this, I think I'll be fine.
You do a lot of research. We have seen your other room.
My essentially research murder board, yeah.
We weren't going to call it that, but we had thought that.
It really is the vibe of the board. Like, it wasn't intentional, but it is the best. Honestly, it's an accurate representation of how my brain works.
Lots of red string.
Lots of red string that's tangled and leads to nowhere. But I say I'm getting closer, but I'm not. Libraries are great places to get leads. So I'm getting nowhere. I don't know why I didn't think this was going to be as hard as it was. Is.
This sounds like it's a lot and difficult.
I think if it was something that was less important to me, it wouldn't be so bad. If it was more of a passion project than a reason to live. But it's what it is. think once I feel like I have a string that connects to somewhere, I'll maybe sleep every 3 days instead of every 4.
We would like to bring that number to every other day at worst.
How often do y'all sleep?
We try to sleep a bit each night.
You know what? That's fair. I don't even try. So, okay.
We would like to help if we can. We have been told that's what friends do.
You see Bellamy look conflicted, and for a second, this like constant kind of exhausted, cheerful demeanor she has, you can see it start to drop a bit. And she goes, last time the last time a friend helped me, they weren't okay.
We can understand why you would be reluctant to let a friend help again.
When you don't have many friends, sometimes you start to think there's a reason. And then when you lose the friend you do have because of something, because of yourself, I'm surprised that I feel as close to you as I do. And I don't want to lose you. But thanks for the offer. You see yourself kind of like try to put that back on.
Which Alistair catches, and so they do not push any further. They just focus in on the pancakes.
Bellamy's is topped with whipped cream. Like there's a stack of like this many pancakes and then this much whipped cream with a bunch of strawberries.
You two take time to enjoy Pancake Day and decide at some point that it is time to head over to Mentor's Square. And along the way, you do stop and get some ice cream. You find a ice cream shop that is designed to look like the mouth of some kind of creature with long, sharp teeth, but it's painted hot pink and bright blue. And you walk into it and something is grumbling and growling around you, and you're not quite sure if that's illusion or if that's real. But you walk inside and it's a normal ice cream shop. Of course, the flavors are all over the place. You've got things that taste like campfires, you've got things that taste like traditional vanilla, you've got things that give you the sensation of flying. There is a range of ice cream flavors. What flavor do Bellamy and Alistair pick out for themselves?
I think Alistair goes for the best way I can describe it is neutral. Like the most neutral flavor that they can find, where the effects aren't going to be that significant.
You find a ice cream that gives you the sensation of reading, of those moments where you're quiet as much as you can be with just yourself, as much as Alistair can be with just themselves and the Legion. and you're reading and you're enjoying, and whether that be reading to learn or reading for pleasure, it is simply there with a book in hand, that very comforting feeling. Bellamy, what about you?
I'd be thinking. So, is there an ice cream that shows you what you want to know? Something like that. Is there an ice
Ooh.
cream that will give me something? An ice cream that will help me out here.
I would say in a world like Fartown, in a world like actuality, yes. You get a you you're thinking about mentors, you're thinking about, okay, this is a library that I'm going to go to get information. The books are not organized by any particular system, but every single book is numbered. And the numbers on are you changing the flavor of your ice cream?
I'm gonna say that success tastes like Dr. Pepper.
Okay. All right. Um the books are numbered from 1 until an infinite number. You get the sense that somewhere in the 500 range is going to give you information that you were looking for. And it does indeed taste like Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, let's go.
You two continue on your walk, heading toward Existential Dread and Mentor's Square. And along the way, is it more likely that Stellan or Isra would be out and about from their home, or both, in each other's company or not, depending on who you ask?
Stellan's number one activity is taking a walk.
Besides threatening people.
I was say besides like ruining
Stellan has
lives.
never threatened anybody.
Chat, we did see the last scene with Stellan, right? We all saw that last scene.
In the VOD, we get a flashback
Where they
to, like, 30 minutes ago.
specified to Carter that they would never kill them.
But
Then
accidents
they
can
will.
happen.
They said
Anyway.
accidents.
I feel like, and in regards to Isra, I feel like she would be running errands at the very least.
Wheel. Oh man, whenever you say a word
Wheel or
wrong and then
woe.
all of a sudden it's just wrong in your head. We will say that you two are headed into Mentor's Square, and along the way you pass through a shopping district. You happen to see Isra at a distance. Isra, you would notice that Alistair and Bellamy are walking together, somewhat with a purpose, somewhat observing all of the different shops and things. Does anybody approach anybody?
A power walk towards Alistair and Bellamy. It's like, oh, speaking of.
Isra moves very quickly with urgency toward Bellamy and Alistair, and all of a sudden the three of you are standing there together in the middle of this very busy shopping district.
Hello, you two. What a wonderful surprise, and truly it is. I was wondering where I was going to find Alistair today, and lo and behold.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, Miss Bellamy.
You look wonderful today.
Oh, thank you.
I can. It just starts to like walk backwards.
You don't have to leave. Actually, well, let me reword. Alistair, I got a communication from a colleague who has an interest. I have the letter here because I was trying to see if I can find you today. Is this something we can talk about with Bellamy included, or would you all wish to speak separately?
Well, that feels a little hard for us to answer, not knowing the content of the
Oh,
letter.
silly me. Hold on. And she'll like go into her pouch and fish out this very fancy looking envelope and hand it over. There you go. Feel free to read it.
And read it, Alistair will. How does the Legion respond? Such as they are in this moment.
Isra, is it okay if I read the letter for the
Oh
audience?
yeah, that's fine.
So printed on official Order of Goetic stationery, the letter says, Isra, word on the street is you're keeping interesting company these days. Not one apostate, but two. Uncommon for a Goetic. Then again, you've always been keen on your own path. The one called Alistair is a host, yes? To more than one demon, far as I've heard. It takes a strong Goetic to summon more than one demon at a time, and then to put them all in one person? Curious indeed. Something to do with Calamundis, perhaps? Let's chat. I want to know more about this friend of yours. And it is signed DF plus, and then a little goose print. Alistair, you have been around various blocks enough to recognize that the goose print is probably connected to Drav Fernwell, who is a Goetic. This is one of Isra's neighbors. You read this letter, Alistair, and it is like your attention is being physically ripped in half. It is a very visceral reaction because right now there is this very real investigation going on that Latris is dead, and all of a sudden somebody is paying attention to not Alistair but the Legion, and that is alarming and concerning. Extar comes to the front immediately. Who is this? What are they doing? What could they possibly want? Cuts off mid-sentence, and you hear Duasis come forward. Very quiet. This is an interesting letter to receive, and from the Dreamwalker, no less. Alistair, tread carefully with this. Remember that your goals are our goals. I would not trust this. The Calamundis, particular. Something to be wary of.
Yeah, what does that... who is that? What does that mean?
Roll me intellect. We're gonna call this a challenge rating 8.
Did Isra also try to roll for Calamundes because she's been with this letter for a bit?
Absolutely. If Bellamy is reading the letter as well, if y'all are sharing it.
Oh, Bellamy is absolutely not reading the letter.
Please. No, I'm kidding. Bellamy's just sitting there like...
Can
Does this
I
have
drop
anything?
that? Go ahead, Ava.
Does this have anything to deal with religious lore?
Yes. So that will drop to a 7 for Isra.
How about magical lore?
Yes, that will drop to a 7 for Alistair.
And you said intellect?
Yes.
I'm gonna spend a bene as well.
It almost rolled 10, but I got an 8.
Yeah, I got an 8 as well.
Wow. Y'all are crushing it. I want to make sure that I get this information correct, and it's in my notes somewhere. Give me 1 second. Because I have so many murder boards for all of you.
Yay!
So many. I've got like 4 murder boards for everybody and 1 murder board that connects all of you together. I recommend Obsidian. If any GMs out there are looking for a system that will help them take notes, Obsidian is pretty helpful for me. You would recognize Calamundis as a collective of minor spiritual entities. They exist through thievery, and that is about all that you know, because Calamundis are known through the Nightside path. The Path of the Suns is the order in which the suns travel, starting with silver, I believe. I should know this. But it moves in a particular order through all of the different colors. The night side path moves in reverse. A lot of people tend to think this as good and evil. It's not quite that, but the night side path is the elements of the different suns to a more extreme level. So the green sun represents life, represents growth. The night side path of green represents excessive growth, represents being strangled by the vines that you were growing in your own garden, that kind of experience. It tends to be something that people avoid because it can be more dangerous. Calamundis is something that exists in the night side path. So you have not done extensive research in this, but you do know that this is a collective of minor spiritual entities. This could be ghosts, this could be demons, this could be some other possessive force, but that is about all that you know about it.
Hmm.
Alistair folds up the letter, hands it back to Isra. We think we might need a bit more time to think about the contents, but we would like to talk to you more.
Of course. Drive is lovely and all, but asking about other people, especially to the extent of who you all are, I just felt it was more appropriate to at least let you know, and see how you wanted to proceed with things. I will try to avoid them as much as I can. The goose is not going to be on the property. I'll make sure to tell the house that.
We appreciate that, and we appreciate having some time to think about what was said there.
Of course. Well, I'm sure I may have been distracting you too, so I'm gonna go finish off my shopping for today. Where are you all headed to today? If I can ask, if that's okay.
Well, we're going to Mester's. If you want to join.
Hmm. Actually, do I need anything? Well, actually, that could probably help with the house. Oh, sure. If you don't mind extra company, I would love to accompany you all, but I'll make sure if this is like a specific type of hangout, I'll make sure to keep my distance. I don't want to. She's not going to say date. A specific hangout.
There was a comment in the last stream. I think it was Cass, which was like, "Damn you, Stellan, for ruining this date." Did not know
And
that
see,
was
here's Issa being a respectful mom and be like, I'm not going to ruin that vibe. I'll just be around.
I think Bellamy's gonna turn and look to Alistair like, is this like a specific like friend hangout? Like, is that how? Is that a thing? Like specific friend hangouts? Like,
We are not sure. Maybe we think that every friend hangout is a specific friend hangout. This is a research hangout.
that's fair. And we didn't establish this as a special friend hangout. The ice cream was because we established that. The research part is the research part, and this is the research part. Okay. Yeah, you can come.
Oh, lovely.
Stellan, where does Stellan walk to? Anywhere and everywhere?
Everywhere, anywhere.
Would Stellan have found their way to Mentors on their own?
Maybe. They are thinking about books, but maybe if only because the Goetic library has books in it. So it might have been like this way is the library.
Fair enough. Stellan would know as a weaver that only Goetics are allowed into the Goetic Hall of Records.
Yeah.
And as you know, that's part of what is tipping you off about this situation with Carter. If you did stop by the Goetic Hall of Records, absolutely, they would have pointed you to Mentors as your next best guess. you come across the Goetic Hall of Records and pass by this very friendly, affable shark humanoid individual. Introduces themselves as Ray and is quite friendly and would just, oh, well, it's only Goetics allowed in, but I expect that mentors might have what you're looking for. Would probably seem a little bit apologetic, but would kind of steer you in that direction.
I appreciate your upbeat attitude about the whole thing, my friend. You can't blame a guy for trying, can you?
Of course. If there's something that I can maybe gather information for, I...
Are you familiar with most of the Goetics who move in and out of here?
Well, there's a lot of us, so no.
Well, then, I have to wonder if perhaps this handwriting is a little foreign to you.
Takes a glance at the paper. Doesn't particularly recognize it.
That's all right. If I come back with a friend, would I be allowed entry?
If your friend is a Goetic, they would, but we can't have anybody else who's not part of the order inside.
Oh, but of course. I totally understand.
Looks a bit perturbed, a little bit confused, but seems to be distracted by a feminine person coming, who's wearing a pantsuit that looks as though attached to very light dragonfly wings by cufflinks at their wrists. Walks up, says hello to Ray, nods to you, and relatively quickly the two are on their way. Seems to be a special kind of specific friend hangout, if you would.
Good for Ray. Good for Ray.
That is a shout out to Victor, a player from my previous Invisible Sun game. We would find ourselves at Mentors, and I'll say for convenience sake for myself, the four of you find yourselves together. So as you're walking there, you come across Stellan, who is also in Mentor Square. And I imagine Stellan would be quick to approach the rest of the group.
I would almost dare say they don't even notice until Stellan is like right about to intercept them.
Stellan
Get
immediately
this person
starts
a bell.
Stellan immediately starts walking at an angle to go and find the group.
These four
we
people
need to
I
put
know
a
who I
bell
can
on you.
bother. Mr. Bot, the many, the few. How can
We
I
keep
find you this
meeting.
evening?
Yeah, so you're the man. Why am I the few?
I haven't bothered to learn your name yet. That's pretty much the extent of it, and it rings well off of the many.
You know what? I don't want you to know my name. I don't want you to know shit about me. I'm okay with this. Okay, anyways, what are you doing here?
Well, I was having a bit of a run of research at the Goetic Library, and well, they guided me here. They said I might be able to find sort of what I'm looking for. Hydrate.
Hydrate with my Dr. Pepper if like a influencer.
Nox,
my
I will
camera.
do anything to get a bottle of water in your hand.
My
I
partner
try-
fell asleep, so they can't bring
At
any
most, usually we just have to donate and give proof that we donated and have the
One
tagline
time-
be, Knox
one
drink
time-
water, I swear to God.
I want you to know my grandma and my mom both appreciate you because I told them how you donated $40 to get me a drink water.
And say for a good cause. I didn't expect to see you here. Also, to hear that you went originally to the Goetic Library and not just here first. Are you? You're not a Goetic, are you?
Of course not.
That's what I thought.
I had a particular reason to be there, but as much as I would have hoped that my charm can get me in anywhere, it would seem that the Goetics take their library very seriously.
Yeah, I wonder. How did that not happen?
Mr. Mott, it is, of course, not lost on me that you are yourself a Goetic. If it ever behooves you to head into such a library, I would appreciate your business regarding any information you could pull out for something.
Is this a deal or a favor?
That depends.
It depends on what you're looking for. Personally, I'm a Goetic, yes, but the work, my specialities tend to be a bit different, so I haven't been there recently, or I haven't had much reason to be there.
Well then, I say we can start with a small litmus test once we're inside Mentors. Just to make sure that we can help each other out, you understand?
Of course. Alright, everyone, let's go to a library.
You
Alistair
all
leans over to Bellamy and just says, "We don't like the way they say things," and points to Stellan.
I don't like the way they do anything, I'm gonna be honest. So, you
Hustle
can
your
stay with me, and
bustles.
if they make me mad, I'll hit them with my cane. There we go. Oh, I brought snacks. You want some?
Snacks sound good, and we like that idea.
Hands a pretzel.
you all begin to approach the clock tower that's in the middle of Mentor Square. And the clock tower itself has a door on one side that, when you open it, leads to a spiral staircase going down. And you all begin the very long process of going down deep underground to get to Mentor's library. You come to the bottom of the stairs, open another door, and it is a massive expanse. Think of the largest building space that you possibly can, and it is at least 10 times larger than that. Every single book, every single text that has ever possibly existed in actuality that people have access to either lives here or there is a copy of it here. So it's a very, very intentional process of gathering all of that information. There are more than 500 librarians that are employed at Mentors. Huge space. You walk in, you see one such librarian who is standing there restocking books. And they almost don't even acknowledge you. If you've ever been to an IKEA, the way that IKEA employees are taught to not engage, taught as though it's school, part of their training and policy is to wait for customers to approach them. That is kind of how this librarian is. She's not reaching out, she's not offering to help, but she is there. She is sorting books that seem to be at a front desk of sorts, kind of sifting through them. That is the only librarian that you see. This is a huge space with many, many aisles of books. How would you all proceed?
Stellan pulls their key on a necklace out from under their shirt and clicks the I button on it, and then looks to the group.
Do we know what that does? Did I miss that?
Has Stellan informed the group?
Not explicitly, but if they ask, they will.
What was with that?
Oh, this? Mr. Mott knows. Every time I make a contract, the actual deal itself manifests in the form of some kind of personal trinket related to the signor. This key is related to Carter.
That is incredibly interesting, but also terrifying.
Miss Nimad,
We
if it
don't
behooves
like
you
that.
to know, yours is a stopwatch, or pocket watch.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, I thought so. I haven't had a pocket watch before.
Almost as if on cue, almost as if summoned, Carter comes down the stairs behind the group. Yes, how can I help? Hello, everybody. Gives a very flourishing, sort of over the top, very dramatic hand gesture and bow, and then actually looks genuinely and sincerely. There's a very small smile at the rest of the group.
You want a
Aw.
snack?
Oh, that would be lovely. I was in the middle of lunch and didn't get to finish.
Oh, here, I have a bunch and I have a sandwich.
Carter takes all the food.
Oh, I have a drink too. It's really good. I had ice cream that tasted just like it.
Carter has an entire meal just given to him, and he kind of glances around and looks, and the librarian is looking very sharp but points over to where some tables are, and Carter will walk closer, still within earshot, still looking and keeping an eye on Stellan, but places some of the food down to begin to eat.
Stellan will go sit with Carter.
Oh, Carter has not sat down.
Sit. Eat. Finish your lunch.
I would have had somebody not drags the chair out, sits heavily. Had somebody not summoned me, as it were.
Oh, and suddenly it's my job to not summon you when you might or might not be eating. That could be any time.
Well, you said you were so gracious and had at least some capacity for kindness, so I would hope.
Capacity for
Usually
kindness
lunch is
does not
served at a
unite.
specific time. So you would assume that during
It
specific
is
times
about
of the day,
lunchtime.
it's lunch.
I don't adhere to that nonsense.
I'd say
I
a good
eat
time
when
for
I'm hungry.
summoning, I guess, would be 3 to 4.
Just because you don't doesn't mean other people don't.
Yeah.
Carter adheres to time.
Like, send like a message. Hey, I'm gonna summon you. Are you busy?
That's not how
Are you
it
up?
works.
It is if you're nice.
Don't you have books to go find?
Don't you have people to not be a jerk to?
The librarian's just like, I want to say quiet. However, this is very good.
Time for the bi-weekly. Hey, JT, you're great.
Hey JT, we love you. We just
I
hate
know.
Stellan.
Yeah.
Well, am I here to fetch books for you today?
No, of course not.
Then what could you possibly need me for?
You'll see.
Carter will continue to eat, drink the very delicious beverage that you have very kindly given him, Bellamy. What are the rest of you doing?
Oh. This is water. It's just in a can. Just letting people know. It is water. I think Isra is going to see if she can find books on how to best describe this friend she doesn't want to have hand. Anything maybe relating to hand.
Okay. Okay, I can work with that. Anybody else have a general idea of what it is?
So, Bellamy would tell Alistair, like, when I was eating that ice cream, I got like I feel like we should go to the 500 section and start there.
Alistair has been watching Stellan and Carter interact with some concern, but when Bellamy says that, they look over at her and nod and seem reluctant to leave Stellan and Carter alone, but not really their monkey or their circus, so they're just gonna
I'll
head
keep
off in a
track.
different direction.
I'll keep watch. Don't
We're
worry.
gonna watch. Here, I have extra snacks in case Carter's still hungry. Okay. And here's an extra drink. Okay. Do you want to?
Are you gonna give him a?
dumps out.
Are you gonna just also give him a smooch on like the forehead, so you're doing such a good job, sweetie?
just dumps out like a bunch
Here's a
of
blanket.
snacks and drinks from her bag. And just like, I have lots of food at home. Go ahead. We're gonna go.
So two
I
of
do
you
think
head off.
before we go, Alistair does lean in to keep their voice down and just ask, Bellamy, did you want to go on a special friend whatever with Isra?
I wouldn't. Like, not right now. I mean, oh, I can't ask that. But also, I want to hang out with you, and also, like, you know, like, if I could hang out with multiple people, so like, you know,
We're not sure we do, but
I'm not explaining it well.
we'll go find books with you, and maybe later you and Isra can go get ice cream together.
I don't know if she likes ice cream.
Ask her.
That involves talking, and I have not done well when it comes to talking to her.
Would it be weird if we asked if she liked ice cream and then encouraged her to go with you to get it?
Honestly, my threshold for weird, I don't know what's considered weird. I'd be okay with that, but like, yeah, sure.
We will ask her that after we look at books.
Books. I know. Books don't talk. Well, do books talk here?
Sometimes.
I mean, besides audiobooks, but I mean like physical, like. We'll find out.
So we've got two headed to the 500s. Isra, I imagine that you are asking a librarian, or are you just going to dive in and see if you can figure it out yourself?
I think she'll ask a librarian, but she'll word it in a way to not make it so very specific. I think she'll use a lot of keywords of like maybe summons, maybe visions, or supernatural beings that hop places, not specifically just saying a clawed hand that insulted my tarot cards and made them terrified as fuck, who haunts my house and my dreams.
The librarian that's there, she would point you toward probably books in about we'll say the 1750s to 1760s range. Not year, but quantity, which is toward the back of the library. So you are headed in the general same direction as Alistair and Bellamy, but eventually we'll have to turn off where they will continue walking forward. Stellan, what are you up to?
Stellan, once everybody has departed and Carter is mostly through his impromptu meal, Stellan will give Carter a Stellan gentle smile. I'm giving you an opportunity for redemption here. And just in case you think I'm not serious, if you do well here and it yields the results I want it to yield, I will draft an amendment to our contract to allow me to terminate it at any time. I read it last night. There's no explicit way for me to give you an out. But amendments can always be made.
How do I know you're actually going to stick to that?
We're going to make a deal. For today and today only, you are going to act as though we do not have any contract at all. You are going to go follow the many and the few, find out what books they're checking out, talk to them if you want to talk to them, and thank missing security for her snacks and food. We're going to keep a comprehensive memory of the books that they check out and read. And in exchange, I will draft an amendment for you by the end of the week.
And I just have to memorize the book titles.
You just have to memorize the book titles.
Okay.
Stellan offers their hand.
Roll me an interaction roll. Carter is very cautious. This is to persuade him that you mean what you say. So we're going to set this at a challenge rating of a 7.
Okay. I will spend a Bene out of the gate.
Okay.
So it drops it to 6. I think I'm good with just that. So I don't think seeing through deception counts here.
Not for this one.
That did not come out of the tower. Woo, that's a 9, baby.
Nice. Carter pauses, looks at your hand, grabs it, shakes it, squeezes harder than is strictly necessary.
There is, when he grabs the hand, there is a tune. Just like the first little whistling part of Hall of the Mountain King comes from the hand, and a small, like, light glows on their handshake. The deal is officially sealed.
Are you ready?
Carter gets up, leaves whatever is left of the meal on the table. We'll follow the few and the many, as Stellan has put it, and head off. Is Stellan doing anything while this happens?
Yeah, Stone's gonna... I think they know they're probably not gonna find anything, but they're gonna try to find something about any of this Goetic information in Carter's incompleted spell.
Okay. I need everybody to roll me a perception roll. Across the board, we'll call this a challenge rating of a 7.
So if we what we have a perception, we use that to bring that down.
You can spend one from the pool to bring that down if you have any left to spend.
Okay, well that was an 8, so I don't need to.
Can I offer you searching one?
Yes, absolutely. Down
And
to
I
a
will
6 for
spend-
Stellan.
I will spend a bean.
Down to a 5 for Stellan.
Does this have anything to deal with religious lore?
Not for this, because this is just about searching the library.
That's it. And you said, and what are we trying to make?
A 7.
I rolled a 7.
H.
5.
Okay. Bellamy, remind me.
8.
Okay.
That was me going too faster.
So 3 successes. Alistair, it is okay that you did not roll high enough because you are searching with somebody else. Since Bellamy, you rolled high enough, it's not going to cost you anything to not find it. Starting with Stellan, you find not necessarily information about Goetics. What you find, that's not true. You do find information about Goetics. You do find information about some of the spells there. It's curious because there are 13 different summoning skills that a Goetic can utilize. These range from persuading to bargaining. It's basically how they talk to the entity that they summon and convince it to do what it is that they need it to do. none of the summoning that you see references any of those 13. It seems to reference something else that you are not familiar with. Any questions you want to ask me about that? And I'll say if you can find it or not.
Okay, so just correct me if I'm wrong here in the list of things that I know about this spell. It is incomplete.
Mhm.
It is using a form of goetic magic that is not publicly available.
Mhm.
The handwriting is the same as a goetic that tried to interrogate me, but it was not Dagon.
Correct.
And I cannot get into the goetic library,
Correct.
but Isra could. I could not go with her.
Mhm.
Whatever I'm looking for is really far away, and whatever I'm looking for is worth threatening Carter.
Correct.
Okay. I think my only question about that would probably be that this leads me to believe that Stellan does not remember the memory that Dagon was trying to get.
Are you asking that, or are you just stating it as your thesis?
I am asking if that assumption is correct.
That is correct.
Okay. Cool. Then Stellan will put all those books back and go to find Isra and wait for her to be done
Okay.
with her book search.
Then we will we'll pause on Isra since Stellan is going to go and join her shortly. Bellamy, you are looking for information about what?
I'm gonna say I'm looking for information about the wings. One, because Alistair's here, and two, because the wings may be tied to her general research.
Okay. You find information not necessarily about entities gaining wings, people suddenly having them. That doesn't really make much sense unless they transcend, become some sort of an angelic creature. Some sort of a demonic creature as well. That is very well possible. What you do find is reference to something called a stained glass angel. This is not something that you've heard of before. You are sifting through. You find reference to the dead,
Yay.
the pale,
Yay.
which is the sun on which the dead exist. You find reference to the night side of the pale, which is interesting under the pale sun. You go to grab the book, you pull it, something pulls it back into the shelf. Do you try to fight it?
Yeah.
Roll me a physicality.
Okay.
We're just gonna call this a CR3.
Okay, I got a 6.
Beautiful. You pull, and there's a face looking back at you. Cloaked in shadow, bright white eyes. And an arm reaches out, and it seems to be made of paper. And what looks like it is going for the book is actually going for your throat. Before we continue there, I would like to jump over to Isra. Isra, you are looking for information about this hand. You find details about some sort of demonic presence. In general, demons have the ability to sever parts of their bodies to send them out to do things. What you don't find is reference to gray magic, which is something that you now know because Stellan did share that with you, that the threads of magic coming from the hand that seem to wrap around your home were gray. Magic does not exist in the gray. You find reference to something called the dark, also called the void. This is where the sheer amount of nothingness has taken shape. It is unknowable because it is so completely nothing that it is impossible to understand. But this is a place where something called the Black Cube is said to exist. There is no other information about where this Black Cube can be found, only that it seems to have a secret stored inside of it, a secret of very strong importance. People that go looking for the Black Cube, people that explore the nothing, tend to not come back. That is what you find.
Interesting.
Before
Okay.
Stellan, you then come across Isra.
Mr. Mott, I hope your library visit is going swimmingly.
We really need to get you a bell.
It wouldn't help.
I was afraid you would say that, but
What are
it
you
has
looking
been
for?
just some information to help with my home.
Oh, yes, the entity on it?
Yes, but I feel like this may be now more of a reason to visit my old stomping grounds, I suppose.
That you have a stomping grounds at all is cause for my interest, Mr. Mott.
Well, I mean, you did try to enter into it, so
Of course. I realize that I still owe you a dream, but I would also like to make an offer to you. I
mhm,
think we can both help each other out again.
mhm.
You have something running around your house that you are not aware of, and I'm getting the sense that you are getting a little more desperate about it.
Hmm.
I'm willing to offer you the cause to call on my services for something as dangerous as this, in exchange for you getting me some information from the Goetic Library.
I thought you already offered one of your contacts, William, for that.
William is a maker, not a Goetic.
Well, true, but you did say that he was someone who could be of some assistance in regards to that.
Well, yes, warding your home against it, sure, but not getting rid of it. I'm willing to put myself in harm's way personally to help you out with this if you can help me out.
You willing to put yourself in harm's way for this has me,
Suspicious?
yes, very much so, because it seems so far you tend not to do that.
I like to avoid it, but in my line of work, you can't ever avoid getting your hands dirty. Some people need things like demon removal or entity investigation, and I happen to be particularly skilled in either of those.
Hmm.
But I understand if you would prefer to do it yourself. I have other contacts I'm sure I could call on for Goetic, but I happen to think that this is a pretty amicable deal.
I'm willing to at least entertain it if I was to understand what exactly are you looking for.
Absolutely. I showed it to that random clerk at the door. I don't see why I can't show you. But Carter seemed to have been working on a spell to find something. And it is using a Goetic magic that is not publicly available. I just need to know what it is, so that I can finish the spell myself.
Hmm.
And I will let you know, friend to friend and business partner to business partner, that Carter's life is on the line about it. Not by my hand.
She technically could have a comment about that, but she'll keep it to herself.
I'm happy to entertain other stipulations if you're thinking of asking for something outside the bounds of what I've already offered.
Yes, it's more so just I personally tend to not really be that comfortable with people putting themselves in harm's way just for the aid of something that I need. But I do like Carter from the few times I've met him, and I do feel bad about the circumstances that he's in. So I would like to help him, but obviously there has to be at least some other stipulation.
Not necessarily. I'm willing to hear what your pitch is without going into extra pricing and all that.
Hmm. Me, the player, is bad at thinking of these things. So I think I don't know if maybe there's a role involved with this, but is there a way for Isra to kind of get a vibe of what is Alice Stellan willing to give for this contract?
We could, if Stellan is not going to willingly offer that, if Isra, that's not true. If Isra does not want to ask Stellan directly, we could roll an interaction roll.
Yeah, I think it's mainly because there is front-facing Stellan that she is starting to know, but then there's also behind the scenes Stellan, and I think she wants to pursue behind the scenes Stellan.
That's fair. So yeah, go ahead and roll me interaction. Stellan, how highly does Stellan keep their desires hidden?
Stellan. Stellan has been very clear about their desires. There is not much that Stellan hides, except for that which they are not entirely already certain of. They obfuscate on purpose for I feel obvious reasons of if the people know what Stellan is about, then the fact of the matter that is Carter or the fact of the matter that is their deals feels like easier medicine to swallow, if that makes sense.
Okay.
They have the best way to put it, they have very carefully crafted a face of I am a very slimy but genuine and honest deal maker as a way of making Carter's existence seem more in line with who they are.
As a way of making Carter's existence more in line with who Stellan is or who Carter is?
Who Stellan is.
Okay. Then we're gonna call this a challenge rating of a 6. You can spend a bene.
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll bring it to a 5. If you have any skills about perception, deception, anything like that, then you could also use one of those.
I have persuasion, but oh well.
Yeah.
7.
Nice. Stellan, what does Stellan want for this deal?
I mean, it came up earlier. People mentioned that Stellan does not respect Carter's time very much, so I suppose Stellan might be willing to offer Carter break time or time off. Just something that would be a general quality of life improvement for Carter.
I think when Isra just continues to stare at Stellan, is like, quality of life included for Carter. And when I mean quality of life, I mean on understandable break times, days off, treating him a bit more with respect, those things.
I treat Carter with respect, but I understand what you're saying.
No one, at least from my life, I have never heard someone command someone to sit and make it seem honest and kind. And you have shown that to me twice.
Carter has a way of attempting to make our relationship look worse than it is, but I suppose that he is just adjusting to my presence once again. But I am about to draft an amendment for a minor clause in our contract that would allow me to release it at any time if I so desire. I will add in a clause adding respected lunchtimes and days off.
Yes, that included with the assistance. I will do my best to ensure that it's not at risk of your life, obviously, but I would appreciate that.
I'm just saying, you can call on me with regards to getting help for this without any extraneous regards for my safety. Whether you do that is up to you.
You haven't given me much reason so far to not like you, so of course I would care about your safety.
Well, that can't be true. Have you heard the way Miss Insecurity talks to me?
Well, well, one, you call her Miss Insecurity, so I feel like she's a bit more valid with that. And two, that is Bellamy's choices. These are mine.
I will stop calling her that once I receive the reason to learn her name from Carter later. But do we have a deal?
Very well.
Stone produces a contract this time because it is an ongoing effect and not something that can be resolved temporaneously. The clauses are pre-written on this piece of paper, almost magically so. Stellan offers you a quill.
She takes it, and with her left hand, she will say, she'll write Isra, and with her right hand, Namat.
Pleasure as always doing business with you.
Mm-hmm. You were saying something about your dreams.
Right, yes. Actually, you know what? As a show of good faith, I'm going to tell everyone. I assume the other two can't dreamwalk, so there's no harm in including them in the fun, right?
Sure.
Do you go off to try and find the other two?
No.
I think right now Isra is willing to just actually she will not go. She will go back to the table where we were originally situated. She does want to look at this spell that Stellan had so she can start at least looking at like the handwriting of it and trying to glean some information of it.
Okay. Before we get into that, I want to jump back over to Bellamy and Alistair. Bellamy, this shadowed face, bright white eyes, hand reaching for your throat, grabs you by the lapel and pulls you in close and says very quietly, "That's not your name."
I don't know what you mean. If it's not mine, then whose?
Still holding very tightly to your lapel. You stole the name from someone.
What do you think my name is?
The entity, because you're realizing that what looks like paper coating the arm is truly just paper. It's brittle and it's flaking away as it goes. You would recognize, because everybody knows about this with when it comes to mentors. This is one of the people of the stacks. These are people who lost their way in mentors and never made it back, and seemed to become one with the library. Have pulled you in, and this entity just says, "We don't like liars." Alistair, you hear Duasis suddenly turn around.
Alistair has been watching this intently to see if they need to intervene, but
Bellamy looks calm. Like she just has a smile on her face.
okay. I would like to read the tone from Duasis. Like, is this a situation like the one we experienced when communicating, when Alistair was told not to look? Or is this a warning, you need to look at something right now?
Go ahead and roll me interaction. We'll call this a CR5.
That is a 7.
Wonderful. This is absolutely a tone of alarm. This is a tone of something has happened, and for Duasis to feel this tone of alarm, he was not paying attention. He is concerned because he was not paying attention, and your life is now in danger.
Then Alistair is absolutely turning as soon as they hear that voice.
You spin around, and there's nothing behind you, but you hear what sounds like paper, the rustling of paper, and you look up, and coming over the edges of the bookshelf from one side and another, crawling on all fours, you start to see more of these people of the stacks. Reaching slowly for the pages, the books themselves seem to start to reach out and extend themselves from the shelves to offer footholds and handholds for them to continue to crawl down. They get closer and closer and closer to you, and they seem to be reaching for you with eyes on Bellamy. Bellamy, you are focused in on this one in front of you. Do you do anything?
I'm gonna say Bellamy notices Alistair turn. And the minute they do, the smile drops and they grab the hand that's holding them. I would be smart enough to not threaten me. You don't know a damn thing. And you don't know what happened to the last person with this name. When I find out how to conquer death, I'll make sure you meet yours. Am I clear?
I think that that is a wonderful line to end this episode on. That was
Woo.
absolutely beautiful. Thank you to everybody for hanging out. I will once again hand it over to my cast to give their outros, and we will start with the person who delivered this lovely, lovely closing line. We'll start with Nox.
Hi y'all, my name is Nox Quiros, my pronouns are she, her, hers, and today I was totally Bellamy. Her name is Bellamy, it's fine. And I'm not in anything before the next episode. But hey, tomorrow's my birthday! Hey! So if you want to like throw a coin or something, please. I have a GoFundMe and stuff like that. If you want B&B and stuff, that would be fun. Hit me up. But yeah. That was fun. Bellamy's fine. Anyways.
We will toss the mic up over to JT.
Hello, I'm JT. We'd all over the internet tonight. I was Stellan Faust, the most kind, nicest man in the entire world. And then outside of that, you can find me all over the place. You can find me on High Shelf Collective next Wednesday and every other Wednesday from here on, running a Beacons game in my world called Forsaken. It is a post-apocalypse 40k inspired fucked up little planet where I torment my friends because they make characters who want things, and I get to take those things away. It's been very fun. We're doing our extended game, Beacons Royal Flush. It is mostly a new cast with new characters back in Farlight doing Mafia stuff this time. But after that airs for 2 more episodes, we will be back with main game Beacons of Farlight, where they have been shot to the past in order to figure out what the hell they're doing wrong. You can find me in Nova on Wednesdays, the other Wednesday, as Caldwell the Robot with some friends, maybe. You can find me in God Complex every other Thursday, here on Entropy Emporium, run by Will. It is our Neon Genesis Evangelion Pacific Rim inspired Girl by Moonlight game. You can find me every other Friday, including yesterday, running Weird Wilds War, a 5e homebrew game. It is the first game I am running on this channel. Come on. Here you go, dum dum. Soft pause. Other than that, Entropy Emporium has a lot of fun shows. We got They Call Us Villains, which airs every other Tuesday, God Complex, Weird Wilds War, and this. And we have a Beads of Magic game in the work, and we have a fun, really cool games coming out very soon that are looking very fun. And this is Tater Tot. He's our official, well, not our official mascot. Our official mascot is Crab, but he's just a little guy.
He's official in my heart, okay?
He's holding on tight. I do not see. I don't know if you guys can see how deep into my flesh his claws are.
Peter is perfect and has never done anything wrong a day in his life.
Except for everything.
I think Tater deserves the world.
Well, I don't know about that. If he had the world, it would be destroyed in a matter of days. But yeah, that's me. I'm gonna put the mic in a heavy impact rifle, and I'm gonna send it over to Isra at high velocity.
Why?
It's just what I had lying around.
Oh my god. Anyway, hello, my darlings and dears. It's your Madam Ava here. You can find me anywhere at Madam Ava Couture. I'm mainly on Twitter or TikTok, and I'll be there until either the owner or the government takes either of them down. We'll just see what happens first. Typically, you can find me on GRTW, Girls Run These Worlds, for Roll for Luck, but this week we have a break. And you will also tend to find me on Exquisite Corpse Presents for our Thirsties for Lesbian campaign, set in the Arthurian legend universe, but that is also on break. So for the time being, on YouTube, the Porting Cast, I was a part of their lineup of players in their Summer of TTRPG, and the 2 games that I've been in so far have come out on their YouTube. It is definitely Wizards, where we are totally wizards, and then Melody of a Never-Ending Summer, where we play teenagers with Pokemon. Mine was a land manatee. Don't ask questions about what a land manatee is, but yeah, go watch those. It's delight. And I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Please get some sleep. Unlike these nerds.
Isn't a land manatee just a cow?
No, it's actually a manatee that exists on land. You should watch it, and you'll see the information on it.
We will pass it on down to JD.
Hey, I am JD. You can find me on the internet, on socials at JD Not Jason Dean. I do way too many things. You can find me most often with Live from the Apocalypse, since I am an organizer, storyteller, and player there. But just to run down the things we have coming up in the next week and a half to 2 weeks. Tomorrow night, I will be with them for our live recording of our Masks actual play campaign, Academy H, where I play a normal guy who does bone magic, and it's fine. You can then find me again with them on Monday for Thy Kingdom Come, our dystopian theocracy game, where I play someone who might be a saint or a revenant, and it is also totally fine and normal and he does not have the highest kill count of anyone in that show. That kill count, I believe, is up to 4 or 5. Tuesday, I will be back here on Entropy Emporium running They Call Us Villains, our Horror Masks campaign, where we will have our first guest joining us, which means I will be running a cast of 6 people, and that is going to be an experience. Usually on Thursday, I run Redacted over on Live from the Apocalypse, which is our psychological horror campaign. We are on hiatus for a little bit longer for that. And then on Saturday, I'll be back with LFTA for Class Reunion, our Isekai D&D homebrew, where I am currently playing a wizard who is just happy to be included. I do a handful of other things. I guess I should plug. I'll be in a one-shot on High Shelf Collective, Royal Blood, on Monday the 29th. And then I will also be in Nova on the 31st over on Lost Caravan. I have a couple of other projects that are in the works that I can't talk about yet, but keep an eye on socials because I will announce it first there. And I get a normal amount of sleep. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. If I say it's a Malcolm Bright amount of sleep, that means it's fine.
That's a bold-faced lie, JD.
Okay, no, he does technically sleep, just chained to his bed.
It's casual. It's fine. We're not going to worry about it too much, Ava. Don't worry about it.
And it's not a good sleep, but it's sleep.
No, it's not restful.
But it's sleep.
It's not restful at all.
Concern. All I have is concern.
Thank you so much, cast. My name is Kian. My pronouns are they, he. You can find me on the interwebs at uptight_chiffon, uptight-chiffon, depending on where you're hanging out. I have been your storyteller for this evening. As far as what's coming up next, on Tuesday, I will be joining for They Call Us Villains. I just play a little lad, may or may not have a huge crush on somebody. It's going to be adorable. We're going to find out together. And by adorable, I mean traumatizing. On Wednesday, I'll be on High Shelf Collective for Beacon Bites, where I play a concerning character who I adore, but is quite the little lad. I will also be on Royal Blood on High Shelf Collective for the one shot, which I'm super excited about. And then on the 31st, I'll be over on Lost Caravan as well for Nova. You can see that I hang out with JD a whole lot. I have a couple other projects coming up that I also cannot yet announce. Keep an eye on social media. You'll hear it there first. And keep an eye on Entropy's socials tomorrow at around about maybe perhaps 12:30 Central. You will probably be seeing something that I am involved in being announced. So thank you kindly, cast. This has been absolutely phenomenal. I forgot to set up a raid. JT, can we raid?
High Shelf
Panic
Collective.
mode. High Shelf just raided us. You
What?
can't.
Oh
You
my
can't
god.
do it.
This is a nightmare. Who
We
are
will be sending a
raiding?
raid over shortly. Just hang out. Let them know who sent you whenever you get there. It'll be
Improv
an
and
adventure.
RPG.
Improv and RPG. Let's go to Matt. We love
Improv and
Matt.
art. Wait, that's Matt. We
That
know
is
Matt.
Matt. We love Matt. Thank you so much, Knox, for that one. So we're gonna go raid Matt. Definitely say hello. He is an absolute delight. And we will catch you
Raiding
next
is
time for the
ready.
next episode for
We're
Blooming in
raiding.
the Rot. Thank you kindly, everybody. Say goodbye, cast.
Goodbye,
Bye.
cast.
I guessed.